Advertisements that I've seen on Facebook Market. Hi, buddy. Are you going to help me? It's been a while, hasn't it? I'll get back to you soon. Oh. This is why I don't shoot a lot of videos at home. This is cute and all, but I'm not getting a lot done. Hello, sewing people of the internet. In this video, I wanted to discuss some ads I've seen recently on Facebook Marketplace for sewing machines. I own something around 30 sewing machines, and I definitely don't need any more, but I'm always window shopping, and I'm often surprised by the wildly varying values that I see, or asking prices I see on vintage used sewing machines. And so I just thought I'd show a couple of outstanding ones that I saw recently for us to talk about. You know, hopefully you'll find this at least entertaining and perhaps informative. I'm not an expert. I just know what I'm willing to pay and the prices I generally see for things. And when I see some that are as much outliers as the ones that I'm going to show you, it gets my attention. I want to point out that while I may have some fun with some of these, I'm not trying to make fun of someone for their ignorance about what they own. For a couple of these examples, I genuinely feel bad for the people who are asking just unbelievably exorbitant prices for machines that are not worth what they're asking, and they're more than likely going to be sorely disappointed. So anyway, let's take a look at them, and let me know in the comments what you think, if these things are priced badly or priced well, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I own a fortune in sewing machines. So the first one we're going to look at is, it's pretty ridiculous in terms of its price, but even more so in just like the ad. The person clearly doesn't know anything about what they're selling here. And by the way, I'm just assuming that all of these ads are genuine sellers who are trying to sell their items. Maybe they're not. This ad says it's for a 1918 Singer sewing machine. Now, if you know anything about sewing machines, you know that this is not a 1918 machine. This is, I believe, a 327, maybe 328, something like that. It's a machine from the 1960s. My understanding, I've never used one. My understanding is it's, kind of average for the type. It's nothing special, not necessarily bad. I think it's got some plastic gears in it, so it's not an all-metal machine. It's the kind of machine that I might expect to pay $25 to $50 for at the most at a thrift store or garage sale. I actually passed on one that I found at a thrift store that was, I want to say $20 or $25, but it was missing the throat plate or something. It was a long time ago, but it's not a remarkable machine that, would command a ridiculous price, and they're asking $500 for it. The funny thing is that even if it were a 1918 sewing machine, that doesn't make it worth more money. And, some people ask a lot of money for treadle machines in the cabinet. I think they ask too much for it. So I don't know how they came to the conclusion that this machine was made in 1918, nor do I know how they came to the conclusion that the fact that it was made in 1918 would make it worth $500. There are certainly sewing machines out there that get prices of $500, but this certainly is not one of them. The next machine I want to look at is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. It's advertised as Singer Sewing Machine 4-drawer console model. One thing that I noticed from people who are not particularly informed about sewing machines is they pay less attention to the model of the sewing machine and more to the fact that it's in a cabinet or not in a cabinet. It's a portable machine or it's in a console. The machine's the same thing. It happens to be in a table. You can take it out and put it in a case. Or it happens to be in a case, but you could take it out and put it in a table. And honestly, that I see people selling just the tables or trying to sell just the tables for money that I wouldn't spend on them. I don't think it matters to me anyway. It doesn't matter if a machine is in a table or if it's a portable. But anyway, so the ad does not mention what model it is. The complicating fact for people who don't know anything about sewing machines is that a lot of vintage Singer sewing machines don't say what model they are anywhere on the machine. Like my Singer 1200 here, which is a special case of the Singer 201, it doesn't say 1200 or 201 or anything anywhere on it. The only thing it has on it is a serial number, and you can derive the date from the serial number. But if you don't know anything about sewing machines, you might say that this is a model AE12345 or whatever it is. That's the serial number. So nothing on the outside of this machine says what model it is. Do you know what it is? I'm not super expert on this, but looking at it, pretty sure this is a Singer 404, which is the straight stitch only version of the 401A that I did a video on recently and I got rid of. Couple people have suggested to me that I really should get my hands on a 404. There's some advantages to straight stitch only machines, and just in terms of their simplicity, and they just do one thing really well. For $40, I'm pretty tempted. I'm not going to buy this machine. I'm not going to go out of my way to buy this machine. But man, if I happen to walk into a thrift store and saw it for $40, I'd probably buy it. Assuming it works and it's in good shape and stuff. The pictures, it looks like it's in good condition. Let me see what the ad says. Yeah, so the ad says beige machine head, model unknown. At least they're honest about the fact that they don't know. It says it has zigzag and buttonhole attachments, meaning a separate attachment that you attach to the presser foot to facilitate doing zigzag. It says it works and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think that machine's worth $40 all day long. So hopefully they'll sell it, or they already have. It wouldn't surprise me though if someone who knew what that machine, if I had that machine, I would probably be asking a lot more money for, maybe at least $100 for it. Because it's a desirable machine. It's a very good quality machine. So I'm surprised that the price is that low. And I tend to look at, if they're asking $40, I'm probably going to offer them, 25 or 30 or whatever. That seems like a good deal. The next machine I want to look at is, these perplex me. This is a toy sewing machine. It says it's from the 1920s. I think that's probably correct. I don't really know that much about these things, but they're definitely early 20th century. I've seen them pretty frequently in antique stores, and they're always, more than $100 anyway. It's been a long time since I've paid any attention, but they've always been priced far higher than I would pay for them, considering they're just essentially a toy. They're a neat collectible antique, I guess, and I could see why people might collect them even if they don't want to use them. I would love to try one to see what you can make with it for $10. I'm not going to pay $200 or $300. This one's advertised for $300. It looks like it's in very nice condition. The ad describes it well. From the text in the ad, it seems like it's pretty descriptive and honest seeming. But man, $300 for a toy? I guess you'd have to be a collector of these kinds of things and not someone who actually wants to use it. I don't even know if this qualifies as a sewing machine in my world, but $300 is pretty remarkable for something like that. I have no idea if that's fair price, good price, bad price or not. I just think it's interesting that a toy sewing machine can command $300 and a really, really good functional sewing machine that you can use to make stuff, somebody's asking $40 for. So in this recent batch of sewing machines that I found on Marketplace, this one industrial machine really jumped out at me. I don't really need another walking foot industrial machine, and I don't really have the room for another one that does the same thing as the ones I already have. But if I was on the market, or if my Consew 206, burned to the ground or catastrophically failed and I had to replace it, this would be very, very interesting to me. So this is a Seiko sewing machine. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. The Consew 206 RB1 that I have was manufactured by Seiko. So it's basically the same machine. I don't know if there's any difference in quality between the Seiko branded ones and the Consew branded ones, or if they simply stuck a Consew emblem on the Consew ones and a Seiko on the Seiko ones. But they're reputed to be of extremely high quality, the Seiko ones. I love my Consew. The newer Consews are not made by Seiko anymore. I don't even know if Seiko produces anything sewing related anymore. But they're asking $1150 for this machine. That's not a bargain price for an industrial walking foot machine. I paid $450 for my Consew, and it was ridden hard and put away wet, and I had to do a little bit to it. I think I had to replace the bobbin case, and there may have been one other thing. So it's not a bargain price, but I've seen Seikos priced much, much higher than this. So I would certainly give this one a look, maybe hope to get the price down a little bit. It's got some wear, it's not in, mint condition, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. But if it works, probably a pretty good buy for a very high quality, older industrial machine. I want to say too that, the thing that jumps out at me about that particular machine and its ad is it makes sense, because often I'll see a non-walking foot industrial machine priced at that kind of price, and that's insane. Nobody should pay that for a non-walking foot machine. Or I'll see a machine like this. I mean, if it was priced real low, I'd probably go buy it. Sometimes I see them at lower prices, and then often I'll see them, for $3,000 or something. $1150 seems like a very fair price for a high quality machine that commands maybe a higher price than some other similar machines. So that's a pretty sensible seeming ad. So let's go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum again. If that Seiko is a sensible price, this is anything but. Honestly, I'm not trying to make fun of anyone, but the level of ignorance that's displayed in the pricing of this machine combination is just staggering. Like, I honestly don't know how you could look at this machine, look at some ads on Facebook or Craigslist or anywhere, eBay, and come to the conclusion that this is a reasonable asking price for this. So the ad says antique sewing machine with everything. $1,500. It's a complete set from the sewing machine to the foot pedal. Still works, antique, it's a complete piece of history. It's beautiful for those of us who find beauty in the past. Okay, so what we have here is a 1970s, I believe, Kenmore. Not really anything people like Kenmore machines. People who like them really like them. But this one doesn't appear to be anything particularly special. I think it's 1970s. It's not something I would get excited about. Again, 25, 30, 40 bucks at a thrift store maybe. And then it's sitting on top of a Singer treadle machine table that looks to be in just awful condition. In the photo, the drawers look like they're barely hanging on. This is not a mint piece of furniture that you could justify a higher price for because it looks beautiful. Like, it's, I don't know. I see people convert these treadle tables into other kinds of tables. Not something I'm necessarily a fan of. I'd rather see a sewing machine being used on it. But in this case, it's not, the treadle part isn't being used. There's an electric sewing machine with a motor sitting on top of it just because it holds a sewing machine. So what we have here, to me, is a, maybe $20 to $30 to possibly $50 sewing machine sitting on top of a $20 to $30 table if somebody wants the base, I guess. I don't even know. Like, I wouldn't pay for it, but I'm not into that. How they arrived at $1,500 is insane. Like, a beautiful, pristine Singer 66 or, Singer Model 15 or something in a beautiful, pristine treadle table in museum condition wouldn't be worth $1,500 as far as I can tell. Again, it's worth what someone will pay for it. Maybe there's someone who would pay that for some reason. But, I see treadles all the time for a couple $100, and I think that's too much for treadles. I recently got one that someone gave me, and I thought that was a perfect price for it. But, free, I mean. But I'm stammering. I just don't understand where in the heck they came up with a price of $1,500. I have to tell you, like, I'm the kind of person who likes to share information, and believe it or not, I like to try to help people. And part of me wants to send them a message, and I don't know if I should or not. I imagine that there's a good chance that it would not be well received, no matter how I worded it. But I really want to reach out to this person. Hey, listen, you know, I can save you a lot of grief. You're not going to get $1,500 for that. If you do, have the person that gives you $1,500 call me, because I got a lot of sewing machines to sell them. But, you know, it's like you're trying to sell literal garbage, like, that most people don't even want, and a very, very small portion of the population would be willing to pay a very small amount of money for, and you're trying to sell it for $1,500. Like, what are you doing? I'm not going to do that, but man, there's part of me that wants to. So anyway, I have another machine to talk about, and I'm going to just as soon as I can. Is that going to be okay with you? Okay, so the last machine I want to talk about is the only one of this bunch that I'm actually kind of considering buying. Over the years of being an enthusiast of sewing, there have been a few machines that I've identified as machines that I want to buy. The Singer 201, I think I have 5 of them now. The FOF 260 and 360, I have one of each of those now. FOF 130, I have 2 of those, but one of them is a parts machine to support the other one. And one machine that remains on my list of machines that I wanted to seek out from kind of the beginning is the Necchi Mira, and I've just still not found one at a price that I could tolerate at the right time. So the ad that we're looking at here is for a Necchi Mira, and they're asking $100, which to me sounds like a very fair asking price for this machine, assuming that it is in the condition that it appears to be in the photo, and assuming that it works and stuff. That seems like a fair price. You know, probably people will pay more for that machine under certain circumstances, and I would be happier to pay less for it, but $100 is not bad. This machine happens to be located about an hour away from me, so I'm not yet jumping in the car. I'm just kind of watching it. If somebody else buys it, great. If I see a price reduction on it, it might be worth hopping in the car and making a drive. But you know, again, I'm mostly commenting on asking prices and also the ad. And you know, it is apparent that the person who is selling this knows what it is, because probably they just did enough Googling to find out what they had, which I applaud them for doing that. And maybe they looked around to see what people asked for that kind of machine and concluded that $100 was a good price to get it sold. The ad doesn't have a lot of extra information that one would expect from someone like me who, maybe collects sewing machines and knows more than the average consumer about the machine. It doesn't seem like it's a beloved heirloom that they've used for years. Probably inherited it from grandma or something in their and just looking to get some cash for it. So, but again, that's a very reasonable price to ask to me, and it looks like they at least did the minimum due diligence to find out what it is they're trying to sell. So good for them. If I end up seeing a price reduction and end up grabbing that machine, then you'll of course be seeing it in a video in the future. The other cat needed her time in the spotlight as well. Oh. What are you doing? Okay. She's super cuddly, as you can tell. Okay. Anyway, I hope you find this discussion useful or entertaining or informative in some way. If you somehow stumble upon this and you don't know anything about sewing machines, but you have one you're trying to sell and you're at a loss as to how to identify it, you can always reach out to me. If I don't know, I can maybe point you in the direction of a resource. For many of the more popular brands, there's loads of stuff on the internet that you can filter through to try to figure out what you have. But you almost certainly don't have something that's worth $1,500. If you liked this video, clicking thumbs up is a good way to tell me that you liked it. If you're not a subscriber, I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel. If you think I'm wrong or agree with me or have another story to tell about a sewing machine that you saw for sale used, by all means put it in the comment section below. And if you want to support what I'm doing here, there are links in the description for affiliate links that help me out and merchandise you can buy. And buying that merchandise is another way to help support me continuing to make videos. I appreciate you being part of the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.